keep it going, keep it loud, keep it going for Alex Kimbrough.
Okay. So, I'm 5 years old, and I'm sitting on the floor of my kindergarten class at Corville Elementary School on the East Side. And like it always happens in kindergarten, there's bathroom break. And at that time, the boys went to the boys' room, the girls went to the girls' room, and it turns out boys ended up being finished faster. So there was a group of us sitting in the classroom by ourselves, a group of boys, waiting for the rest of the class to show up. My teacher's in the hallway, policing people, girls are doing whatever they're doing, the boys are still lining up. And so we're sitting in there talking amongst ourselves, and the conversation turns toward the girls in the class. And we started asking each other, so who do you like? You know, at age 5, we're supposed to know this stuff. So the boys start chiming in. Well, I like Regina, you know, I like Kathy, you know, and there was this one girl named Wendy who everybody thought was cute, and I thought she was cute, so I said, you know, let me chime in, you know, I'm part of this. And I said, well, I like Wendy. So one of my classmates, David, says, Alex, you can't like Wendy. And I said, well, why not? And he said, because you're too fat. What? And then the other boys started laughing because they thought it was funny. But I was struck. That really hurt because I'd never been told I was too fat for anything. And I didn't know what that meant. Does that mean I can't like a girl because I'm fat? And no girl would like me because I'm fat? So at that point, I became the fat kid. And yeah, I was overweight, but you know, no one ever stopped me from being fat. I didn't know how to not be fat because I would eat. I ate what my mom made. My mom was a great cook. And I would eat, and I would eat, and I would eat because my mother and father said, Alex, you can't be done, go get some more to eat. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll go get more food to eat. And, you know, some people had seconds, I had thirds, because it was there. But because of that, I became the fat boy, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't run fast, I couldn't throw a ball, I couldn't hit anything with a bat, couldn't catch. And then nobody wanted me on their team for whatever we were doing, because I was the fat kid. And I realized, well, wait a minute, I can't do anything. Maybe I don't have the skills to do much. And that stayed with me. I embodied that. And because of that, it basically changed the course of my life. The words of a 5-year-old boy in kindergarten affected me my entire existence. The next grade, I ended up getting glasses, so I became the fat kid with glasses. Okay, and they still picked on me, called me names and everything. It's like, okay. So as time went on, I realized I had a little bit of intelligence, so I became the smart kid. So I was the smart, fat kid with glasses. And that's what I was, and I stayed that way all the way through Corville Elementary School, all the way through Cleveland Middle School, and all the way through high school, the finest learning institution in the history of mankind known as Cass Tech. And all the way through Wayne State. But I decided, you know what? I got picked on, I got talked about, they called me names, so I made a decision. You know what? I'm going to do that to myself. I'm going to call myself names. I'm going to pick on myself. I'm going to beat them to it. I'm going to be, yeah, I'm fat, yeah, I'm ugly, no girl will like me. And there were girls I liked. I wouldn't talk to them because they wouldn't talk to me. I'm fat. So all the way through schooling, through Wayne State University, all the way into WJBK Fox 2, which is where I'm still currently employed. And finished year 37, year 38 is coming up. So, and then I started to think, how did all this happen? Why am I this way? And it dawned on me that my father, God bless his soul, he told me that years ago they were so dirt poor. He came up from Mississippi. They lived near the Eastern Market. His mother had to get garbage out of the Eastern Market to feed them because they had no money and they were hungry. And he remembers that he had to bury his 2 youngest siblings because they died of starvation, and he had to put them in a shoebox, dig a hole, and bury them. And he did that when he was a young kid. So I'm sure that affected him in some way, and he probably made a promise, that's not going to happen to my children. So when he had 2 children, my older sister, Gila, and myself. We both went to Cass Tech. He made sure that his son was going to eat. So Vivian, make sure Alex gets something to eat. Eat something. That's why I was eating all the time, and I never thought anything was wrong with it. So I just kept eating. And when I got to this point where I was going to pick on myself and beat everybody to it so that I wouldn't hurt anymore from their words, I started to get depressed. And with that depression and my obesity, I started having health problems. You name it. The one thing I didn't have was diabetes, amazingly. But my knees, my kidneys, my heart, all of it. But you know what? At that point, I didn't care. Because I was this fat kid with glasses who was smart. Then one day, while I was still here at WJBK, this woman comes into my life. And she seems to have an interest in me. Tells a mutual friend, hey, he seems like a nice person. And I didn't really acknowledge her much because I figured, no one's going to talk to me. I'm a fat kid with glasses, no one's going to do that. But then I was told by a mutual friend, hey, call her up. I said, okay, fine, I'll appease you, I'll do that. So I called her, and we talked. And at that moment, I realized, oh my goodness, this is my wife. She's incredible. And she kind of loves me. And I fell in love with her. Now, this is later on in life. I'm like 29 years old at this point, not dating, didn't care. But there's somebody who saw past all of this and loved me. Now, she mentioned she had her own issues of weight. She would put on weight, lose it, put on weight, lose it. I would put on weight and keep it. Put on weight and keep it some more. But she dealt with it. So we ended up, believe it or not, getting married. So here we are, 2 married people in love. I'm fat with glasses, but I have a wife. But with that, we also started developing our own health issues. She had hers, I had mine. I have kidney disease and the knees and everything else. My wife developed breast cancer. And in 2012, she was diagnosed, and she beat it. 11 years and counting. She is a cancer conqueror. But later on in our marriage, we ended up, a miracle of miracles, we had a son. Beautiful baby boy, Brandon. And years later, my son would tell me, breaking my heart, Dad, my entire life, you and Mom have been sick. The one instance I remember was his first Halloween. He wasn't even 1 year old yet, but his mother was in the hospital. So I put his costume on. He couldn't go trick-or-treating because she was going to take him trick-or-treating. Put him in his costume and wheeled up to Providence to her room so she could see him. But that was the life my son had. Constantly, Mom's in the hospital, Dad's in the hospital, Mom's sick, Dad's sick, both overweight, Mom loses weight, all of that. And finally, my wife decides one day she really wants to lose some weight for good and wants to have bariatric surgery. And then she says, Alex, I'd like for you to have bariatric surgery with me. And I said, no. Why would I want to do that? If I want to lose weight, I'll lose weight if I want to. I'm not going to have someone come in and suck my stomach out. I know how to lose weight. I'm a Cal Tech grad. I don't need any of that. But then for keeping peace in the house, I said, fine, I'll do it with you, baby, because I love you. Yeah. The whole time I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to lose this weight on my own. That way, when it gets close, I won't have to have the surgery. Well, I failed miserably. Because had I been able to do that before, I would have done it, and I didn't do it. So time's ticking away toward the time of my own surgery. It's like, okay. This all was going to take place last year. A year ago in June, one of my health problems kicks in. I'm driving to work at 2 a.m. going to WJBK, and somehow, some way, I black out. I'm going south on Greenfield. I was told what happened. I went across to the northern side, jumped the curb, hit a fire hydrant. Car may have rolled over once, crashed into a wall, the engine block blew up, the vehicle was on fire, and when I woke up, I realized my windshield was melting for some reason. This white substance was melting, and there were flames coming out of my hood. And a voice came to the side and said, sir, you need to get out of the ride. I was like, oh, okay. So I unbuckled my seatbelt and walked out like I was going to Kroger. And I was relatively unscathed. I'm like, wait a minute. The only thing that survived were me and my license plate. Everything else went up in smoke. And they said it was a miracle that I'm alive, that God has another purpose for you. And I'm like, what is that? It's like, I don't know, but he's got another purpose for you because he spared your life and you're here. Like, okay. So I decided I'm going to go ahead with the surgery because I'm done with all these health issues. I can't deal with this anymore. So up until they're wheeling me into the OR, I'm thinking, there's got to be a way to get out of this. But there wasn't. Next thing you know, they knock me out, and I wake up, and the surgery is done. Part of my stomach is gone. And I didn't feel any different, but it's like, okay. The day I left that hospital, I was 369 pounds, which wasn't even the biggest I've ever been. I've been 380. I was 369 the day I left the hospital. Like, okay, we'll see if this works. 2 weeks later, I'm down to 260 pounds. I lost 100 pounds in 2 weeks. The doctors couldn't believe it. It's like, wait a minute. They checked me again. They put me on scales again. They had never seen that before, to lose weight that quick. And of all people to do it, it was me. The one who fought it tooth and nail, the one who was the fat kid with glasses. Since November, which is when I had my surgery till now, I've lost a total of 148 pounds. That is an entire human being. And then the reality was I was carrying another human being on me for decades. And I became a new person. I'm still dealing with this. I don't know how to be. I've never been this. I was wearing here he is, I was wearing a 5X shirt. This is a large. It was God's grace and prayer that got me to this, because I'm here. And then I started to think, that 148-pound person I was carrying all these years was the fat kid with glasses. I have been carrying him around my whole life. And now I finally got rid of him. And so now I have to figure out, what am I going to do? What's next? And I realized I want to maintain this, but I want to help others, maybe be an inspiration to them. Maybe there are people who are fighting like I'm fighting, don't want to lose weight or want to lose weight, health issues. I still have health issues because the surgery didn't take care of it completely, but now I can deal with it better. All my doctors are happy. My wife is really happy. But more importantly, my son's happy because he thinks he's going to have his dad around. But now, I have to live a different life. I can do things differently now. I can sit in a theater with armrests, and it's not stabbing me in the sides anymore. I can go to a shopping mall and actually feel like I belong there, because I would always get maybe cologne, tie, or buy gifts for other people. I can go to stores and find clothes, which I couldn't do before. But beyond all of that, I have to think forward, what's going to be next for me? There are things that I want to do. I want to write. I want to do public speaking. I'm a director, but I also wanted to produce films, so I want to make small films or bigger films. I want to do that. I want to bike ride because I used to like that when I didn't fall over as a child. I want to ride a bike. I was told I have a relatively decent voice, so perhaps I want to do voiceover work. I want to do all of those things, but more importantly, I want to be Roz Kimbrough's husband, and I want to be Brandon Kimbrough's father for a good, long while. So, as you all heard, I just turned 60. So now I feel I'm at the halfway point. It's time for me to look forward to the next 60. Now, I don't know about you, but I truly believe I'm going to get there. Thank you very much.
Alex Kimbrough.